therapist and a yoga teacher. And when I was in PT school here at the University of Wisconsin, I found out that I had scoliosis. Do you all know what that is? You're muted now, so you can nod or you can do thumbs up. But anyway, somebody told me to go to an Iyengar yoga class to help with my scoliosis. So I went over to Mound Street Yoga, and this is back in the late 1980s, and started studying Iyengar yoga. So Iyengar yoga is named after the teacher, B.K.S. Iyengar. That's I-Y-E-N-G-A-R if you want to Google it. And he was an Indian man. He passed away in 2014 at the age of 98, who started this type of yoga, which is based on alignment, really getting your bones lined up, finding more space in your body. He introduced the use of props like bolsters, belts, blocks, blankets, so that any type of body could attain position. And within the first year of my studying, my curve in my spine improved so much that I got 1.5 inches taller. So it really is possible to change your posture, to change your health by studying yoga. So I started going to Pune, India, and I would spend a month there at a time to study with him. And he ran a medical class in addition to regular classes where people from all over the world would come with different ailments like arthritis, osteoporosis, brain tumors, spinal issues, and he would work using yoga therapeutically. So as a physical therapist, I became very interested in using yoga that way. And I can't really show you all these things today because we don't have any props other than our chair, but I do want to focus on his principles of alignment and see if you feel a little different by the end of class. So we're going to start with the idea of aligning our head in line with our tailbone. I'm going to move back to my chair now. And I want you to feel where your lower ribs are. You can just put your thumbs there and then take your fingers down to where the top of your pelvic bones are. And that space between your ribs and your pelvis is ultimately a pretty wide space. In other words, if your posture becomes stooped, your shoulders start to come forward. Can you feel how the rib cage drops? And then the space between your ribs and your pelvis shortens. And that impacts on your inner organs, like your digestion will be affected. So it's very important to keep these ribs lifted. So as we start today, I'm going to ask you to bring your hands behind for a moment to draw your shoulders back. And you may begin to feel your shoulder blades then, the bones in your upper back, drawing in towards your chest and also moving in towards each other. So you can probably see the difference in my posture from here to here. All right. So we're going to try to keep the shoulders back, but then see, can you place your hands on your thighs without losing that posture? Slightly take your head back so that the crown of your head is lined up with your tailbone, which is between your two sitting bones, these bones that you're sitting on. Now, just take a moment with this alignment to close your eyes and begin to observe each breath in and each breath out. As you inhale, notice where your breath is touching your side ribs, your front ribs, your back ribs. As you breathe out, see if you can let go of any unnecessary tension in your body. Relaxing your shoulders down away from your ears. Softening your eyes. That might be kind of a funny direction to soften your eyes, but if you can think about looking at a computer screen, how sometimes your eyes become hard. They're trying to focus. And compare that with the eyes of looking at your newborn grandchild, how they're filled with love and they soften. So see if you can intentionally soften your eyes and gaze down towards your heart so that you're not looking up towards your brain. So allow the gaze to be down towards your heart as you keep your chest nicely lifted. On your next in-breath, see if you can cultivate a sense of gratitude for your ability to take time to take care of yourself today. And as you exhale, send gratitude to our essential workers who don't have time to take care of themselves today necessarily, but they're out there helping us survive this pandemic. Now on your next exhalation, slowly begin to open your eyes. And I'm trying to look at the different screens to see if you were able to stay lifted. One of the images I like to use is I imagine there's pillars between the ribs and the pelvis, and they're helping me to maintain this lift up. Now we're going to try to relax the shoulders because sometimes when you're lifting the ribs, the shoulders lift, and that's not what I want to happen. So we're going to take the shoulders intentionally forward now, and then up and back and down. This down position is actually where they belong. But right now, we're letting them come forward and up and back and down so that you're trying to release any tension, get rid of any kinks in there. You can even involve your elbows and just really loosen up those shoulders. Some of us carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. Now I've been coming forward, up, back, and down. Now I'm going to start back and down and lift up and come forward. So I'm changing the direction of the circles. Sometimes we don't realize how much tension we're carrying until we start working with our body like this. And take a nice exhale to see if your shoulders feel a little looser. And next, we're going to open up the rib cage. So if you have a place you can hold on to with your right hand, I'm mirroring you. So even though you might think, oh, that's your left hand, it's like you're looking in the mirror. So I'm holding with my right hand, leaning to the right. I'm going to reach over and feel like I'm opening up those side ribs, creating more space between them. Now, if it hurts you to bring your arm up that high, you can just keep your hand on your hip and get that same opening just with the lean. The arms do help to get more action, but I don't want anybody hurting their shoulder. Then I'm going to come back up, hold with the left hand, lean to the left, reach overhead. Mr. Iyengar used to say, open your ribs like tiger claws. Well, that doesn't really mean anything to those of us who don't live near tigers, but you can imagine what he meant, that that space is opening up. Now what we're doing right now is warming up the spine. So your spine is capable of side bending, forward bending, twisting, and back bending. So let's repeat the side bend again. We're going to side bend to the right. Open up those left side ribs. Stay with your breathing. And then come back and open up the left side ribs. So these movements should be enjoyed. Don't feel like you have to push into anything. Your breath should be smooth the whole time. If you're not breathing smoothly, you're working with too much effort. So this is different than the way I work as a physical therapist. You know, maybe somebody's recovering from surgery or a car accident. Sometimes you have to work really hard in rehab to recover, but we're not doing that right now. We're working our body, our mind, and our breath as a unit, as a whole. So yoga means yoking those three things together. So as we now go into the next motion of the spine twisting, I want you to inhale and get nice and tall in the spine. And as you exhale, turn to your right. You could take your left hand across to your outer right knee, and then keeping both buttock bones evenly on the chair, move the navel from left to right. Move the ribs from left to right. Take your right shoulder back. Keep the chest lifted. Good. And keeping the chest lifted, on your next exhale, come back to the center. Now we're going to repeat everything we do, because the first time through you're just learning what the shape of the pose is. The second time through you can go inside a little bit more. So as we prepare to go to the left, inhale, get tall. Exhale, turn the waist, turn the ribs, turn the shoulders. Take your right hand across to your outer left knee. Stay nice and tall and breathe. And inhale, on an exhalation, come back. I'm hoping you felt your buttock bones staying evenly on the chair. If you're not feeling your buttock bones, try leaning to one side and taking a hold of your buttock flesh. Do you all have some flesh? Move that buttock flesh to the side, and you might feel the bone more firmly. Then lean to that side, move the buttock flesh, and come more firmly down onto that bone. So those bones are the base of support when you're sitting in the chair. They're going to stay in place as we lift and turn again. So inhale, get tall. Exhale, turn the waist. This buttock bone stays firm. Turn to the right, take your left hand across. Now this time, now that you know the shape of the pose, take a moment to close your eyes and see what you feel from the inside. As you breathe in, notice where your breath touches your inner ribs. Does it touch the sides evenly? There's no wrong way, just notice. You're noticing without any judgment. When you're ready to take your out breath, you'll come back. So inhale, on your out breath, return. So in other words, we're trying to move with the exhalation. As you get used to this, you'll find out you actually move more smoothly on the out breath. So inhale, get tall. We're going to turn to the left. Take your right arm across to your left outer knee. Close your eyes and just observe. How does this side compare to the previous side? Where's your breath touching? Are your shoulders relaxing away from your ears? Are your buttock bones evenly on the chair? After your next breath in, exhale and return to the center. So you may have noticed I posed a lot of questions. It doesn't mean you have to answer them all. I'm just trying to train your mind to observe while you're in the pose. In other words, how many of you thought about what's for lunch? I'm trying to get your mind into the pose and not wandering somewhere else. It's not that you have to answer all the questions, but I'm training the mind to be in the pose. So we've done two motions of the spine. We did the side bending, we did the twisting. Now we're going to do forward bending. But remember those pillars? I don't want you to bend forward by collapsing here. Instead, you're going to keep the pillars, and from your hip crease, lengthen forward. So notice I'm staying long in the spine. I'm placing my hands on my thighs. Some of you might stop here. Some of you might be comfortable stretching forward more fully, but just be with what's comfortable, where you can still breathe smoothly. And here's another important thing when you're practicing yoga. The breath should be smooth. The mind should be content. I often say you should feel ridiculously happy. All right. So if the mind is feeling anxious, fearful, irritable, it probably means you're working too hard. So in that case, you back up a little bit. Can you be more content here? In other words, it's not about pushing too much. It's about combining the breath, the movement, and the intelligence. Now, see if you feel a nice lengthening in your low back especially, and then slowly come up. There's one other motion the back does, and it's actually longing to do it most of the time. Because in our life, we're often slouched forward. In yoga, we practice back bending. Now, if you're not used to back bending, you're just going to do a tiny little bit, but it's not done by just back bending the neck. This isn't back bending. In other words, I want to be lifted. I want the chest to be reaching up towards the sky. So I'm keeping my head in line with my spine. So to help you do that, I want you to put your thumb on your sternum bone, your chest bone, and take your index finger to your chin, so that you're going to lift the sternum up to the thumb and look at the ceiling without the chin leaving the index finger. So because I don't know you all, I want to see that you're not overarching your necks. So I'm going to take a look at you now. You're placing your thumb on your sternum, your index finger on your chin, and lift the sternum up into the thumb. See if you can see the ceiling without losing your index finger at the chin. This is just a safe little back bend. Okay. Did anybody stop breathing? Keep your breath nice and smooth. And come back to normal. And just notice how you feel. So if any of you are gardeners, you've probably been down, you know, squatting and weeding. Have any of you ever stood up and went, oh, it's like you really wanted to do a back bend because you'd been forward for so long. So it's that kind of feeling. All right, now that we've warmed up the spine and the ribs and the shoulders, let's just gently rotate the neck. First, I want you to draw the shoulder blades down your back and then turn your chin towards the right shoulder. Come back to the center and turn your chin towards your left shoulder. Now, if you were to do that action with the shoulders forward, you wouldn't get as much rotation. So it's very important that the first step is to get the shoulders back. Now, to feel the shoulder blades more fully, we're going to bend our elbows, have our fingers pointing straight up, and start to first bring the palms together. So this is like the prayer position. And then start to draw the elbows in towards each other. You're going to feel a stretch between the shoulder blades. And now separate the palms and elbows and bring the elbows back as far as you can so that you feel the shoulder blades squeezing towards each other. This is the position that helps to keep the chest lifted. So we'll do that again. Paul, it looks like I'm not on the screen as big. Do I need to do something? Let's see.
Yeah.
I'm going to highlight myself in my little thing here. Pin video. There. that working now? All right, let's do that again. Elbows up. Draw them towards each other. Feel the spread of the shoulder blades. And then swing them out to the side and back until you feel your shoulder blades squeezing in. And let your hands rest down. Paul, is everything okay?
Yeah, we just switched off the screen for a minute. Somebody was joining and shared the screen by accident. So I think we're okay now.
You think everybody can see me?
Yeah.
No, no,
No, you can't?
I can see
no,
her.
I cannot.
Everybody else.
Okay. Evie, okay.
Should I just keep teaching, Paul, do you think?
Yeah, I see you now in the main
Okay.
screen. So I'm hoping that works.
All right, let's go back to the idea of the pillars between the ribs and the pelvis. Can you keep that space as you begin to pick? We'll start with the right leg. Pick your right knee up, foot off the floor, and take a hold of your thigh. Now, I don't want you to do it by collapsing here. So see if you can stay nice and lifted, the knee up towards the chest, and then do some ankle circles. You can go in both directions. So stay nice and lifted in the chest. That's it. Are you breathing smoothly? Are you ridiculously happy? If you're not, you might need to lower the knee and do the ankle circles lower down. So modify as needed so that your breath is smooth and you're feeling content. So staying nice and open here, begin to bring the knee up. See if you can interlace your fingers behind the thigh and do some ankle circles. Go in both directions. So now we're starting to warm up the legs a little bit. Notice differences between sides so that you're observing without any judgment. You're not saying, oh, this ankle ain't what it used to be, or this side barely moves. You're not judging, you're just observing. Now we're going to either just repeat what you just did, or if you can go high enough that you can take a hold of your foot and place it on the opposite thigh. This gives you a different stretch to your outer thigh of your bent knee, going all the way into the buttock. The reason I like to teach this stretch is it allows you to touch your foot and maybe even tie your shoes, you know, without bending forward. So it's a very functional stretch. So I'm feeling quite a stretch in here, and I'm trying to lift up and stay tall. If it's not too intense, you could even lengthen forward a little bit to feel more stretch, but only if it's comfortable here. Then I'm going to take a hold and slide the foot down and back onto the floor. If that's too much, remember you're just going to repeat this one. So now we'll try the second side. So even if it didn't work on the right, it could work on the left. So you come up, you turn, and place the foot. So in yoga, this is often called the pigeon pose. In Sanskrit, it's much fancier. It's Ekapada Rajakapotasana, for those of you who like to learn languages. So notice if the stretch is more intense or less on this side. See if you can breathe smoothly. Sometimes it's helpful to close the eyes so that when your focus is on the breath, there's less intensity in the body. You can actually relax the body more if you just follow each breath in and each breath out. I'm going to take a hold of the thigh to help slide the leg down and place the foot back on to the floor. So see that your feet and knees are about hip distance apart. And I'm going to ask you to move your buttock bones towards the front edge of your chair. So get as close to the front edge as you can, and press your hands down on your thighs to lift your spine up. Can you lift your spine without lifting your shoulders? So keep the shoulders relaxed down, make the spine as tall as you can, and then reach forward and lean forward. Now pretend you're rowing a boat. I'm going to take a hold of the rows, and I'm going to come back and bend the elbows. And then I'm going to reach the fingers forward, lean forward, then squeeze the hands, bend the elbows, and pull back. So we're doing a lot of things here. We're keeping the feet and the buttock bones evenly pressing down. We're keeping our space between our ribs and our pelvis. And we're both forward bending and back bending. We're preparing for a yoga pose called the chair, Utkatasana, chair pose. So once you've gone forward and back several times, like you're rowing a boat, you're going to get your head coming forward over your knees, reach through your fingertips, and stand up a little bit. See, my knees are still bent. And then I'm going to reach the buttock bones way back, reach the hands forward, and sit down. Now, be safe. If you need to use the arms of your chairs, please do. But this pose, let me show you what the pose looks without a chair. You're reaching the arms up as the hips sink down. But what we're doing, by the way, this is the hardest pose we'll do today. This is what I call my peak pose, okay, for the day. So to review how to come up, step number 1 is sit on the edge of the chair. Step number 2, walk the feet back so they're under the knees, further towards the chair than the knees. Reach forward so the head is coming forward over the knees, changing your center of gravity, and then push through your feet, pull up, raise the arms up. Chair pose, ta-da! Now I'm going to reach the arms forward, take the buttock bones way back, and sit down. Very nice. I'm happy. Now, you can either do that one more time to stand up, or you can just push through your chair arms and stand up for a minute. Show you the next pose from the side. So this is a variation of dog pose. I'm going to place my hands on the chair or hold the sides of the chair, step back, and then I'm going to pull my hips away from the chair. Now, if that's hard on your hamstrings, you can bend your knees and pull back. If it's hard on your shoulders, stay closer to the chair like this and just rock back a little bit, okay? So for those who can, feel the side ribs open up, really pull yourself back. And then take your hips forward. This is a little bit of a plank pose. We're not going to put a lot of weight on the shoulders, but just a little. And pull back. And come forward. So you could do several repetitions of dog and plank. This is just a modification of a pose. There's a lot going on. I'm just going to watch you do it for a minute. You're stretching your hamstrings. You're stretching your low back. And are you breathing smoothly? That looks good, Joe. Some of you I can't see so well, but I'm hoping. That's it, Pam, that you're having a good experience. Good, Mike. Good, Virginia. All right. Then when you've done your last plank, walk towards the chair and sit down. Take a moment to notice how your body feels compared to the beginning of class. So we've opened up the legs, the ribs, the spine. So now we're just going to take a little walk. You can hold the sides of your chair if you like, and just start lifting your knees one at a time like you're taking a walk. Now, can you walk and still maintain this space between your ribs and your pelvis? In other words, I'm not walking by bending forward. I'm not collapsing the ribs down. So this is our theme today, maintaining what I call the sacred space, this space right here. I'm keeping it open as I march. Now, if it helps you to put your hands on your thighs or your hands on the arms of the chair to stay lifted, that's a fine way to do it. If you're staying lifted without assist, go ahead and swing your arms, just like you're taking a walk. Notice that when my left knee lifts, my right arm comes forward. That might be a bit much to coordinate all that, but you can give it a try. Buttock bones are staying evenly on the chair. So when I talked to Betsy about the class, she said they take a walk. Some of you might even get up and walk. She also told me that you always give yourself a hug at the end. So let's pause for a moment. This hugging, I thought, was a brilliant idea because we're not supposed to hug other people right now, and we all miss that. So first have one arm on top, one arm on bottom. Really give yourself a hug, maybe do a little bit of a twist, and then switch the cross, squeeze and twist. And then you're going to just sit quietly for a moment with your eyes closed. I want to read just a portion of a poem. I usually end my classes with a poem. And this one I have to find it. I have so many poems in here. Okay, this one is just the first part of a poem called The Way It Is by Rosemary Watola Trommer. Over and over we break open. We break and we break and we open. For a while we try to fix the vessel, as if to be broken is bad, as if with glue and tape and a steady hand, we might bring things to perfect again, as if they were ever perfect, as if to be broken is not also perfect, as if to be open is not the path toward joy. So I hope just with this simple movement we did today, my hope is that you feel more open. We all need that right now in this time of COVID, to feel open and grateful, and that helps our ability to help others. So may the benefits of this practice be shared with others. Namaste. I wanted to end early enough to answer questions because I have to be on another Zoom class at noon. So I'm going to get a little closer to the screen. And if Paul can unmute you, feel free to ask me some questions, or you can also email me. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.
So
and
some
try
of
to
you
keep
might have to
this
click
alignment.
on
Say again?
the ones, yeah.
Can
Go
we
ahead.
just say thank you very much?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very
thank you,
nice.
Jill.
Thank
You
you
added
all.
some good things.
Was it too easy, too hard?
Just right.
Just
Loosened up. I'm loosened up now and we'll go shoot some hoops outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Mike. Outdoors. I'll tell Betsy you want to be outdoors.
Gil, I have a question.
Yes.
I am always too short to really touch the floor with my feet if I'm sitting straight on a chair. So I was wondering if you know the foam blocks people use. Have you ever seen a thinner, larger square block that would serve?
Yes. If you go on the site called huggermugger.com.
Huggers?
I mean, this is just one site. Even if you just Google yoga props, you'll be taken to many, many sites. But yeah, if I were teaching this class, everybody would have blocks. There's so many things we can do with blocks, foam
But I'm
blocks.
not talking about the blocky blocks. I'm talking about a thin block that's bigger.
Yep. They have them in all shapes and sizes.
Great. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Hugger Mugger?
Huggermugger.com.
Got it.
Or you could just Google yoga blocks because they have some that are foam rectangles, all sizes and shapes.
Great, thank you.
Joseph, I can finally see you. How are you?
Oh, okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, I had quite a bit of trouble engaging and re-engaging without stacking on top of each other, but I think we're going good now.
Okay, good. All right. Well, everybody have a wonderful day. Feel free to email me. I've got to go to my next class.
Thank you
Thanks
very
very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
much.
Thanks,
Yes,
Beth.
looking
Take care.
forward.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Yeah. Have a good class. And thank you
Thank
for
you.
ours.
Thanks.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Good to see everybody.